When you focus on relationships and not the outcome, the outcomes become more predictable. I'm here with Ruben Schwartz. Ruben is an Alpha Team lead in H7 Network. He actually runs our Follow Up Fest. I love the name of that group. I love what Ruben is trying to accomplish with this. And how about we learn a little bit more about Ruben so you can find out why you should be maybe attending Follow Up Fest. So, thank you, Ruben, for being on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Clay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, can you please share a little bit about you, what you do for a living as an entrepreneur, things like that? You mind taking some time to share about that, please?
Sure, I'll try to take as little time as possible, but I spent decades as a sales and marketing consultant for Fortune 500 companies, and I like to say that I could do a great job for them, but I was really crappy at my own sales and marketing, so it's like extra ironic. I run into a lot of consultants who do something else and then they struggle with sales and marketing, but when sales and marketing is the thing you consult on, you really think you're supposed to be good at it. And the more I tried to copy what I was working on with my big enterprise clients, the worse I made things for myself. And I'd love to tell you that I had this flash of insight, like, aha, I should do this all via relationships, and I shouldn't be trying to use fancy enterprise CRMs that are for the VP of sales to keep track of a sales team. Of course, that's not what happened. I just banged my head against the wall for years. And slowly, there wasn't a light bulb, it was more like a very gradual dimmer switch went on because I learned things slowly. And my whole mission, once I realized there's whole tribe of us folks who are in that boat that I was in is to help these folks avoid having to have the years of struggle with the dimmer switch and instead get to have some light bulbs and do things the easy way.
Yeah. So, what is it that you have then, Ruben? What's it called again?
Well, I ended up creating a CRM and I just kept the same name as my consulting company, Mimirin. And I would love to say again that I was like, aha, what we need is a CRM for the rest of us who aren't salespeople. And instead, that's not what happened, of course, because I never do things the easy way. I started building things to plug into the enterprise tools. People started asking for them on their own. I turned what I built as tools into an app for others. And then people kept saying, hey, Ruben, I love your stuff. I hate my CRM. Can you make your thing do the CRM too? And of course, I said, no, that would be nuts. The last thing we need is another CRM. And if for some reason we did as a species, I would be the last person to build it. I freaking hate CRMs. And people kept saying, that's why you should do it. And after a while, I caught on and I realized that now it's obvious in hindsight, right? The tools that I was struggling with, they're for a sales leader to keep track of a sales team. They're not for a solo person who's not a sales leader or a salesperson at all to create and nurture relationships.
So, who did you build it? How about we clear some of this out? Who did you build the CRM for? Because there's a ton of CRMs on the market. So you must have had something in mind. So why don't you share a little bit about that? Like who typically subscribes to
Yeah.
CRM?
It's really for independent consultants, coaches, and fractionals, those types of professional services people. They are in relationship businesses, which is you're an expert on. You know, that means they're in conversation businesses and they need something beyond their spreadsheet or their sticky notes or whatever to keep up with people. But they don't want to take the space shuttle to the grocery store, which is what it's like when you have a traditional CRM built for a VP of sales to track a sales team. So there's a bunch of things that Mimrin does that typical CRMs don't do, right? Help you with your messaging. So when you're in an H7 room and people are like, okay, what do? You should have a really coherent, really crisp, really referable answer that's going to empower everyone else in that room to act as your virtual sales team. Instead, unfortunately, a lot of us are a little vague, a little wishy-washy, trying to be too broad, et cetera. It doesn't really work out very well. But then I want to be able to not only make referrals, but also not only get referrals, but make referrals, right? So keeping track of who does everyone want to meet, who's their ideal client, who's their ideal partner. Let's make sure that information's in there so that as I'm having all these one-to-ones, I can think, oh gosh, I know there's someone I need to introduce to Clay, but I can't remember who the heck it is. Let me go do a little search. Ah, there it is. And then I can make that introduction and make that karmic wheel turn around a little bit faster.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. That was really powerful as to what it really can do. So thank you for sharing that. Give me a list of just to kind of clear this out. Give me a list of your targets again, just so that people can hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Solo coaches, consultants, and fractionals.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Now, you've started a follow up fest. Okay. Now, tell them tell the crowd a little bit about what Follow Up Fest is and maybe how it can benefit them or who it is that would be a good fit to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, we've all heard the phrase fortune is in the follow-up. Most of us believe that phrase in theory, but sometimes when it comes to putting it into practice, we have a few hurdles, missteps, et cetera. At least I know I did. And so I started blocking off time in my calendar to make sure I was following up. And of course, the CRM makes some of that easier, but you don't need a fancy CRM to block off time in your calendar, just follow up with people. And I've done some of this with my user tribe, and it's been really helpful because it's this tribe of solos who are not salespeople. And so there's always this, as much as we believe in the power of follow-up, sometimes, it's this kind of thing that gets procrastinated around. And then before you know it, you've not just given up on kind of where you were at, but your garden has withered. It's the kind of thing that you need to tend. You can't just like press pause and come back. You've got to keep nurturing it. And
Yeah,
so just the simple act of putting, even if it's just an hour, of course, it should be more than an hour, but an hour a week to try to nurture some of these relationships has huge dividends for people. And what I realized was we've got this group of people who are by themselves, right? They're solo for the most part. They don't like selling. Um, but what if we all kind of got together and gave each other some encouragement, accountability, however you want to think of it, where you just get on the Zoom. If anyone has any questions, they're nervous about anything, they want to get tactical advice, they can get that. Then we all hit mute and we go do our follow-ups. And then at the end of the hour, if there's any important lessons people want to share, that's great. Oftentimes people are just still on the phone talking to folks when the meeting ends, which is fantastic. But the idea is we're going to make it a lot easier uh, psychologically to actually get that follow up done and enjoy the rewards.
that's really cool. So, Ruben, how can they connect with you? So, about the Follow Up Fest, if I'm a member of H7 and I know Follow Up Fest exists, uh, that's great. But if I don't, and I'm watching this video, how they can connect with you?
Please connect with me on LinkedIn, Ruben Schwarz, Mimran, as you can see on the screen. That'll come straight to me. You can email me directly, ruben@mimran.com. You can check out the meetings calendar on the H7 website. You can also search for this in Circle, and it will pop up. So there's lots of ways to find it.
Ruben, I just want to take a moment to thank you for what you're doing with that group. There's lots of us out there, salespeople, entrepreneurs, all kinds of people. And fortune as a follow up is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. But I also know the struggle with follow up and the idea of being able to have a little bit of an accountability buddy that just says, "Hey, this is how you can do that," and then you go off and do it. And just having that immediate relationship that's nurturing that they can be themselves. That's what you're really trying to do, right? That's really what
That's
you're trying
right.
to accomplish.
I like to think of it as we're solo but not alone. And I know that H7 isn't exclusively for solo people, but there are a lot of us solo folks in here, and there's a lot of folks who maybe they have other folks in their business, but they're really the sole rainmaker. And that may not be a role that they're super comfortable with. And what I learned is 99% of the issue with that is all in our own head. I've made all the mistakes multiple times, just unnecessarily many mistakes repeated over and over. And like I said at the beginning, my mission is to help folks learn things the easy way. So if you're kind of thinking about, well, gosh, I should be doing better at follow up, but this sounds a little whatever, I'll do it next week. Just come show up. Heck, you don't even have to come back, right? You can be like, okay, this is so easy. I don't need to show up to follow up fest to do follow up anymore. That's great.
Yeah,
Just make sure you're doing the follow up.
that's awesome. Well, excuse me. Thank you, Ruben, for your work. Your work is vital in the community. You're making a huge impact, and I just want to personally thank you. And so, members out there that are watching, listening, all that stuff, of course, it's part of your membership. There's no extra cost. Just be around Ruben for an hour. He's a special human being. So, thank you, Ruben, for what you're doing and all the impact that you're making. Okay.
Thanks for having me, Clay, and thanks for all you've done to build up this organization where we can all help each other out.
Appreciate that. Thank you.